Good morning to everyone following us with these daily devotionals. We trust that these devotionals really helps you in being equipped and empowered as disciples of Jesus. You'll remember that the first few weeks we looked at our identity in Jesus, and then we looked at the purpose that God called us for as His disciples. And now we are moving into the next part of our discipleship walk, and that is looking at our maturity in Christ. That from a place of knowing who we are in Jesus and knowing the purpose that God called us for, He enables us to grow in our maturity in our relationship with Him. And this week we are specifically focusing on the role that grace plays in this maturity. Now let's read 2 Corinthians 9 verse 8 together. It goes like this: "And God is able to make all grace abound toward you." I want to pause there. In that sentence we see that grace is from God alone. It doesn't say anything about what we need to do to get grace. But God is able to make all grace abound to us. It is a free gift from Him and it is undeserved. Grace is a loving demonstration from a just and holy God toward a world that is lost and full of sin. So grace enables us to be righteous, to be in right standing with God now. Let's continue. It says that you, always having all sufficiency in all things, may have an abundance for every good work. The word that pops out in that second part of the verse is sufficiency. That tells me grace is enough. That tells me when Jesus hung on that cross and He said, "It is done," that is exactly what He meant. Grace is enough. It enables us to live lives that it indicates that we are now in right standing with God. So not only does His grace make us in right standing with God, but grace is God's power that enables us to live this life that He called us to live. And I want to add there that living a life in right standing with God with His grace doesn't mean that it's going to be without trials and tribulations. When Paul was going through a difficult time, God spoke to him and He said in 2 Corinthians 12, "My grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in weakness." So His grace is enough for us even when we go through difficult times. It's a matter of perspective, looking at His grace. Think of banana bread. It was developed in the US. They did it to utilize overripe bananas because you can't eat overripe bananas. When you eat it like that, it tastes rotten and mushy. But when you add butter, sugar, and flour, you get something delicious. And that is what God does. Is He takes our rotten, painful circumstances and situations. He adds His grace and He turns it into something sweet and beautiful, something that glorifies Him and testifies of His wonderful grace. Friends, as we look at grace this week, I pray that God will show you a new revelation of what His grace is. And may you enjoy this week. Have a great day.